Hello, Gemini, and welcome to your January 2026 reading. It's great to see everybody. We're switching back to 1 month at a time by popular demand. And for January, I'm going to add a little bonus at the end where we look at the 4 quarters of the year. Otherwise, it'll be the same. All right, let's get into your channel messages for today. There was a lot of things that are coming through here, but the first image that was very loud and clear in my mind's eye was kind of like this hanging on by a thread. It was almost like a hanged man energy. And for some of you, there is this feeling that you're waiting for that breakthrough or for that moment, and it feels very close. And what Spirit was kind of conveying with this updated version of the hanged man in my mind's eye was, you're so close. Don't give up yet. And sometimes when there is a delay or something happens in a different fashion than you think, it allows you to see something from a new perspective. And the second thing that came through, this was a dream image, and then I meditated on it this morning. It was a little caterpillar, but I think it's called an inchworm. It's the one that kind of moves up and you can see the center of the body create that little U shape. So an inchworm kind of goes a little inch at a time. And that combined with the hanged man is saying that there is progress, but it's incremental. And a lot of the 2025, last year's progress, is leading up to January 2026, which will allow for this sort of like, moment where there's massive expansion. So it's all right if things haven't gone as quickly as you wanted. Just continue to make one step, one breath, one sort of moment at a time. Or I should say, take one step at a time, because you are making progress. That's what I wanted to say and convey. The other thing here with the inchworm is it's step 1 of a 3-part metamorphosis. So inchworm is actually a caterpillar. A caterpillar is in the consumption phase where it's starting to take things in, and then it's going to go into a chrysalis phase before the butterfly. So you're making progress. There's still one more phase of stasis. You might be in it by the time you watch this, but then we have that liberation that is the butterfly. So don't rush. Look in multiple directions, and it's so interesting that both the hanged man and the butterfly kind of hang upside down. So I really encourage you in this moment to make sure that you're exploring all options at your feet, whether it's in love, in relationships, in business, it doesn't matter. Take a look around. There might be something that takes a little more time, but might be worth it, or might require going in a different direction, but it also might be very fulfilling. And then I see that expansive energy and the wings being spread, and then the butterfly energy coming forth. So let's shuffle the cards. Again, I'm going to make some room for 4 different quarters of next year. We'll probably do that after I do the main spread. And as a result, I'm going to go a little bit more abbreviated on health, wealth, love, and destiny. All right, let's get started. I just wanted to show a quick picture of Apollo, who is sleeping so soundly in the background. We'll allow him to rest and hold some space while I get ready here and shuffle the cards. Please close your eyes. Imagine that the sun is shining directly overhead, and within this ray of light, you are connected to Source and protected. Let's call in your angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters and begin. All right, let's get started with your catalyst. So the first message coming through in this catalyst position is the Prana Mudra, and it says, our lives are a journey shared through our togetherness. And then we have the power of 2. It's interesting because at the center of the spread, which we'll look at in just a moment, we have a partnership card and then death or change on top of it. So there's a shift. For some of you, you might be leveling up. So in a relationship, there could be either this opportunity to go deeper, to kind of go into a different direction, or to possibly explore new partnerships, some sort of shift, some sort of change. This is also reminding you that you're not alone and your experiences can help other people when you share them, when you convey your own learning. So there may be also a mentorship or a teacher opportunity for you, or you may be seeking out a mentor as well. The key thing here is we're going to focus on this spread at the energy or around the energy of togetherness and teamwork. So some powerful things coming through here. We'll go back to it as needed, but now let's see how the rest of the month of January is shaping up to be. So as I was mentioning, we have 2 cards here around the center that have a lot to do with relationships. Why don't we dig in and see what's in store? So clearly we know that change is a part of this because it's the modifying card, but let's talk about what's at the center. We have the 4 of Wands. It's in the reverse position, and we see that eye. It's almost like an iris. And so this is about sometimes worrying about what other people think, want, or expect of you. So the first message today is you have to live your life by your own rules. There are expectations when we come into this world. Sometimes it's to get married. Sometimes it's to have a family. Sometimes it's to just take care of your family. Whatever those sort of traditional values might be that might be pushed on you, remember that you get to basically decide if, when, and how you're going to do this for yourself. You can either embrace it or choose something completely different. This card is also about patience. So in this version of it, we can see that the foreground is empty. And in this modern version, we can see that optical energy looking, searching. So some of you might just be wondering, when is that person or that solid opportunity that I'm looking for going to manifest? And when you scry or want or desire too much, it oftentimes pushes it off into the future a little bit. So release the longing a little bit if you can and focus instead on going within and emphasizing that you know you're ready. You're ready, you're worthy, and you're capable of all the beautiful energy that we see in this 4 of Wands. You're just sitting there waiting and being the first one that showed up. That doesn't mean that someone else isn't en route, okay? This is also a foundational card, and when people look at you, they can see the value that you bring, that you're a team player. And we mentioned this month in particular, the power of 2 comes through. Not only that, if we glance down at the table, we can see a divine partnership here, Emperor and Empress energy. So far, so good with the center and opportunity and outcome card. These all look great. There are some challenges, but we're going to take them one card at a time. The first is simply this. We have the Death card coming through, which is change, transformation, growth, but it often involves letting something go. It's not always easy either. So there's something in your life that may not be serving your highest good. It could be a habit, because in the crowning position, we have 7 of Swords. So you might be trying to fool yourself into thinking that no one's going to notice. It could be like an addiction. It could be a relationship. It could be something that just, it's taking more than it's giving. So in order to fortify the 4 of Wands underneath it, you have to release this other thing that is kind of inhibiting or blocking the potential. This can be actual literal loss or release. So some of you might be processing the loss of someone or something or both, and you need to take your time with that. There's no right or wrong amount of time to grieve and process, but you may be supported and aided in that processing by leaning on the support of others, letting them know what you're going through, what's challenging. And then ultimately, death is also rebirth. It's a chance to try something completely different, because sometimes we have to see that it's all done. Whatever it is that we were hoping for or working on or whatever, there is this realization that now that that's over, I'm free. Sometimes it helps to see a slightly different interpretation of the card. And so in this particular version, we see death and rebirth paired, and right in the center of this card, we can see that it's a portal to something new. Also, I like to remind folks that the reaper can also be reaping the benefits and the rewards of the hard work that has been put forth. And as we're looking at this spread, for some of you, it could just be that you've, again, laid down that foundation, done the internal work to feel that sense of self-confidence and self-worth, and then that empowers the growth and movement that we're seeing in this spread. All right, in the deep past, we have Six of Swords energy reversed, which pairs up with death as a sort of like wake-up call, and it's saying, now is the time to take action. Here's a more traditional version of your Six of Swords. And what we can see here is there are options. Are you the one that's rowing the boat, the one that's creating the change? Are you the passenger? This is a moment where you're being encouraged to be the driver, the one that is basically steering the ship, if you will, okay? And the reversal of this could also be a chance for you to wrap up old business with someone or something. And if we look at this interpretation, the reward is the rainbow at the top. So sometimes we have to work through some of the drama, some of the trauma, and then there's a rainbow which represents happiness, connects us to that future 10 of Cups, which actually has the rainbow on it. So again, in the reverse position, you might just be feeling a sense of, I wish I had done this. Why didn't I do that? Could have, would have, should have, and you're going to change it into I can, I will, and I am. And now is the time to take action. Take the oars on that boat and start rowing, basically, okay? So that's another message here, back into the sort of moment of here and now, and the encouragement to take the reins and move forward. All right, let's take a look at the recent past here. We have the Two of Swords reversed, and we have the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is in the upright position. This represents love, creativity, sensitivity, all very positive aspects. Beneath the surface, there is an element of surprise, or there could be something that is yet to be discovered. So, in a relationship, take your time. The energy of the Hanged Man is saying, don't move too quickly. The little inchworm, the caterpillar that I saw, was also saying, just gently move forth so that you can gain confidence, you can see new aspects of this relationship, this person, and yourself before moving forward, and that's going to help you. And if you're not in a relationship, this is basically emotional discovery. So you might be learning about how you tick or why you sort of do certain things. And what was previously inexplicable or difficult to understand is now starting to come to the surface. This could be a result of meditation, of working with a mentor or therapist, because all of these things can bring insight that was always beneath the surface, but required maybe a little bit of nudging to get out. Okay? Another message here with these two cards. There could be unreciprocated, that's the wrong word, unrequited, there we go. Unrequited love, or basically some sort of an affection or a feeling that just isn't reciprocated back. And it's okay. Sometimes we put ourselves out there and we're just not received. So you might apply for a job and you get rejected. That's the Two of Swords. You may say, I love you, but the other person says, well, I like you. Or there could be something where you're taken by surprise and someone comes in your direction and sees potential that you didn't see. So it can come in many different ways. The important thing is, if it's surprise, that's fine. But if there's a lack of mutual connection, respect, or affection, that's when you want to pump the brakes a little bit and say, you know what? I think I need something more, okay? You never know until you ask, and one of the things with the Two of Swords is it's an inquisitive card. How do you feel? What do you want? What are you looking for? It's good sort of stuff to bring through in the courtship or dating process. This is also going counter to the sort of expectations that I was talking about here. So let's say your mom, your dad, your teacher, your society said, this is how you do things. This is what you should do to be successful. This is how you should love. And you're like, but I think I want to love in a different way, whatever that might mean for you. There's always a third path with the Two of Swords. So it isn't binary. It isn't just this or nothing. And it feels like you might have been given an all or nothing way of looking at the world. The Hanged Man also is about seeing an alternate path. So love and opportunity and creativity and friendship, it may be confronting your norms, your parents' norms, or the societal norms, and so be it. If it feels right, if and only if it feels right, then the death card is coming through and it's just saying, oh, that older version of me really isn't aligning to that. I see it differently. We have the beautiful star right at the center, almost where the eyes would be. So you're seeing it in an elevated way, and you might be thinking of doing it differently. Okay, we have one major challenge coming through, and it could be your own sort of mind represented here. So this is the Seven of Swords. We have a sly little fox at the bottom. I think for this card, it helps to look at the traditional one, and I have it handy. So here's your traditional Seven of Swords. This can be one of the, I'm sure you've seen the comics with an angel and a devil on the shoulders. This would be the devil. And it's saying things like, no one's going to notice. So it's an enabler. It enables us to do things, I mentioned addictions or habits, that hold us back and take more than they give. It also allows us to do things like procrastinate. We can do this tomorrow. It's not going to make a difference. It may also be an old echo of someone in your life that was just not a great influence, but it kind of got integrated into your program, if you will. So whether that was a parent or a friend or whomever, what you're going to do now is reprogram or deprogram that out, because this card was reversed, and you're going to see it for what it is. So with the reversed Seven of Swords, you come through with authenticity, accountability, transparency. And if there's anything that you've done in the past, you could make amends. For some of you, I really think that's what the Six of Swords is about. Going back and fixing something, and maybe even saying, I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. And then you can transform and grow, and again, bring this into a higher level of understanding. Okay? Also taking a look at this, moving into the near future, we have the Seven of Cups, exploring new opportunities. So that's one of the common themes this month, is that it might be necessary for you to just go beyond the expected and try something new, get out of your comfort zone. The Seven of Cups made an appearance in the reverse position. What's cool about this version is that actually aligns to the one cup that's upright. And a reversed Seven of Cups is basically saying it's decision time. Let's look at the traditional version here. The person is looking up at the sky, embracing all of these clouds, all of these options, and doesn't quite know where to start. When the card is reversed, it's saying create some boundaries and some parameters so you don't get lost in this exploration process forever. A little bit of discovery, a little bit of research is perfect. But if you go too far and too long in that energy, it becomes overwhelming. So sometimes limiting yourself to 3 choices, or just giving yourself a day or two so that you can trust your instincts. One of those will naturally kind of like come out of the mix and say, well, choose me, basically. And then the ones that don't, you can let them go, and that's why the Seven of Cups was reversed. This can also represent rejecting ambiguity. So if there's someone in your life that gives you ambiguous feedback or direction, you can just say, I don't get it. Why? What does that mean? Or help me understand your perspective. It's not clear. Because you don't want to move forward with a lack of clarity. Okay? So just like the Two of Swords reversed, the Seven of Cups reversed can be an opportunity to clarify and kind of cut through some of the nonsense. So we actually have another Divine Partnership card coming through. 2 knights. Hard to read the bottom here. So we have the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Cups. Then we have Emperor and Empress. There are definitely opportunities this month for new friendship, new alliances, new love. It's all there. So the Knight of Wands as a representation of you. Let's talk about that first. This is about moving forward with a sense of boldness, if you will. Painting with a brush stroke that's really bold and saying, this is who I am, this is what I want. And there may be this sort of like pent up preparation and readiness, because again, I felt like some of you were sitting there waiting, hanging by a thread, like, when is this happening? When the window of opportunity opens, which we see here, when one door closes and another opens, emphatically you want to go through that door. Okay? So don't hold back. Don't play games. And that's one thing that this card might sometimes encourage is, well, I don't want to let someone know how much I'm interested, whether it's a job, a friend, etc. Let them know that you're engaged. Say, yeah, that sounds great. And then call them on that. When do you want to get started? Or when would you like to go out? Or when do you want to talk? Initiate. And then let them come back. So it's a game of back and forth. So don't be afraid to do your part to say, yep, tag, you're it. Okay? This is also, as you can see here, almost like a light bulb. And some of you are going to go forward and champion your idea, your sort of like maybe even your desire, whatever it is that you want to pull into the world, go for it. People are going to be about as engaged as you are. So if you don't believe in it, I'm not going to want to buy into it. If you really are passionate about it, then I'm much more apt to listen. Okay? This is also passion personified. So there may be a relationship where the physical chemistry is there and it hasn't been before, whether it's an existing one or a new one. So pay attention to that as well. But from an ideation standpoint, these two cards go together. This is brainstorming. And if we go back to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, there's blue sky all around it. Try to allow yourself to be in that explorative possibility space in all aspects of your life, but particularly relationships and money, since these are the primary cards that are coming through. Let's look at your environment. It's pretty good. We have Wheel of Fortune energy, which can represent new money, new opportunity, the expansion that I've talked about, taking something to the next level. And also for some of you, finally things are starting to move in the career front or the personal development front. If you haven't been thinking about or talking about money, this is a good time to do so. Get a handle on your budget, both your output and your input. Make sure that you have enough. And if you don't, you might be able to find a way to bring in more resources. Since we have so much partnership energy between the two knights and the King and the Queen card, the Emperor and Empress, plus the Four of Wands. So it's a time where you don't have to do this all on your own. Things are moving a little bit more quickly, and around you, there may be things that are moving even quicker than you are. Eventually, like I said, there's going to be a moment where you have to catch up, and the knight is ready, and you will be ready as well. A new job, development in relationships, something moving in the right direction since the Wheel of Fortune is in the upright position. All right, the first of the two sort of power cards, hopes, fears, and opportunities. Empress in reverse. This is a supportive, nurturing energy. It's also a power card, and it matches nicely with the outcome, which is the Emperor. So there's two ways of thinking about this, but the first thing that came through from Spirit is you might have met your match, and this isn't necessarily bad. Like we can think of match as like matchmaker, so love, but it can also be in business or in sports or in life in general, someone who has the capacity to be on an absolutely even kilter, because we have regal energy here and then we had night energy. They're on the level. So don't underestimate yourself or the person that you're talking to. I think that's one of the big takeaways here. There's an opportunity this month to nurture yourself. Emperor energy, we had the Empress. Empress energy is more about receptivity and self-care. Then after that, you can take the action that we see here. Both of these cards are just a little bit sort of, they have their roots in the ground and they're kind of stuck. So one of the challenges here, again, is leaning into change. These are rigid. That's the word I was looking for. So your flexibility is being put to the test. And because I had the butterfly theme that came out of the inchworm, there is going to be a moment where you're being asked to change completely. And these energies have a hard time changing. Everything else in the spread seems very supportive of that. But there's a little something here with how you thought it would be and how you wanted it to be versus what it's actually going to be that may put you out of your comfort zone, but I think you've got this. I mentioned I'm going to briefly go into the expanded forecast. We're not going to dig as deeply as usual because we have the quarterly forecast that's going to follow this. But as always, I'd like to start off first with a message from health. And this month, your health card is the Storm Spirit. And we have chaos in the background. To me, this represents the Tower. And there might be something in your life that needs to have a change. You see it coming. This isn't in the general spread. This is actually in the expanded forecast. So we're looking off to the distance. We're seeing a flash of lightning before we hear the thunder, before the rain comes in, before the storm arrives. Listen to those little moments. You know, I don't know why, but I am receiving something really interesting in channeled messages here in the moment. So I'm going to talk about it. I also get a little tightening in the chest or like something around the heart. So there could be for some of you either a need to take special care with exercise, cardiovascular health. There may also be someone in your family that has a history of that. So just be mindful of that. It's not something, again, that I'm overly concerned about, but I did pick up on that. For a quick moment, I flashed to the heart space. And there's so many things with the heart. It can be healing, like just emotional healing, exercise. It can also be taking care and avoiding things like blood pressure, blood sugar, or cardiovascular disease, like a heart attack or something. But just mind your heart. That's something that just came through. Occasionally I get a pure mediumship message and I kind of saw like a blinking light and it showed me the heart. Okay, so I mentioned what I see as I see it. Now let's briefly go through this and see what other messages. This, you can change this. So again, I feel like I just picked up on a family marker. For some of you, it's one of those things that I mentioned. This is stagnation, and this can be stagnation because it's sideways. So there may be a lack of movement in your life, and it's important to get the heart beating. That's maybe all that I was kind of picking up on there. Okay, so focus on the heart, get moving. If you had a close call, a little bit of a health scare, things are really solid in the future. Everything on this side looks good. Take it to heart and just make the necessary changes. Be honest with yourself, be honest with your doctor, do the right things. If you don't understand something, ask. A lot of times when we're in a doctor's office or if there's something going on in our body, we just kind of figured, well, okay, I don't understand it. I'll just ignore it. It'll go away. This is saying don't ignore that, okay? Hydration is really important right now. Getting out of any bad habits, please, whether it's drinking, smoking, or even overworking, whatever it is that you do, we need to pull back right now. Take care of yourself. And then as a result, I actually see here like a return to vitality, which is a very good thing. Something else that came through before we move on, there could be either some difficulties in pregnancy, a miscarriage, but then eventually pregnancy, because the Empress is a good card with respect to that. So don't give up. Don't be hard on yourself. Sometimes it's just a matter of stress or things aren't aligned, but I do see something positive in the long term here. All right, now we can move on. I said it was going to be brief, but for health, I got downloads and had to talk about it. For wealth, we will go a little bit more high level. We have resources, life purpose, and career here. You received the beauty card, but it was reversed. So on a symbolic level, before we get into the literal, there may be something that on a surface level, it looks beautiful. But as you dig in a little bit, you start to wonder, wait a second, what is this? Because we have the Two of Swords here and then the Seven of Swords. So a beautiful glossy surface, but then some issues beneath the surface. With the Seven of Swords, suffice it to say, it's important to get a lawyer or professional to look at something. There might be something that isn't fully disclosed. Make sure that you ask for more time if you need it, and make sure that you basically give it a couple of passes before saying you're finally on board. This could also be a bit of an image reworking. We're not talking about how you look. We're talking about how others perceive you. So marketing, PR, and just the general way, it could kind of also equate to like dress and presentation. So surface isn't everything, like appearances aren't everything, but they do matter. And when we're looking at those of you that own a business or are professionals, you might be looking at how to change up your image. Make sure that you work with someone that you truly trust, since we have the Seven of Swords energy there. More like the Emperor or the Empress is what we're looking for. Someone that's experienced, who has been there and who you really feel like they have your back, okay? Finally, some of you might be working in the field of beauty. And so this could be hairstylists, makeup artists, etc. Even just general stylists, I was mentioning that. And there's a chance here to help articulate why what you do is so important. I gave a couple of examples there because it's the first impression. When someone sees how you look and how you project your brand or your service, it's hard to go back and fix that if it wasn't a good experience. So this is a chance to really make sure that you're leading with the right foot and everything feels good, okay? Now just some general notes here that I see. If you think you can get away with something in wealth, you can't. Whether that's your taxes, whether that's an assignment at school, whether that's a project at work. If something isn't right, speak up. Someone may tell you to ignore it, don't listen. There might be a lack of clarity, get the clarity. If something has been left undone, now is a time to go back and clean up those loose ends. You have a lot of opportunity this month to kind of like rise up. We have 2 knights here, and then we have a king and a queen. So actually, if it's a team effort, the two of you could get promoted, recognized, etc. together, which means it doesn't have to be a competition. It could be something that is a partnership, and the partnership could go further. And if you are trying to do something entrepreneurial, it might be easier to form like an LLP instead of an LLC, or have two owners or something like that. I like that we have the Wheel of Fortune in the environment. It may not be in front of you, but I see access to resources. The key thing with all things money is honesty, integrity, and basically doing what's right. Let's move on to love and relationships. We have a grounding energy, literally Gaia, the earth. It says, be mindful of the planet, come back to earth, stay grounded. And interestingly enough, when we were looking at these love cards here, I mentioned about like they're rooted or grounded in some sort of sense of what they want. That's not a bad thing in love. I mentioned you might meet your match. You could find someone who's just as stubborn about what they want as about what you want. So compromise is going to be necessary, but be that as it may. Just a couple of quick notes when it comes to partnership. For this one, I actually think I can break it down because it's pretty short. So if you're currently in a partnership, here's what I see. There's a chance for this to go deeper. If you've been dating for a while but haven't gotten married or become exclusive, now's the time to do it. A little scary to talk about change, but definitely necessary. Be honest if you're not ready. Make sure that they're honest, and as long as that's there, you're okay. Ultimately, it looks like this can go the distance, but with the Seven of Swords, there's something that needs to come through to the surface, so make sure that the space is safe to talk about stuff. And if there's something that you're scared about talking about, don't be. This is going to probably bring you closer in the long run. You may also just be finished with a relationship. The Death card in the center and the Six of Swords in the reverse position in the past can just say it's been stagnating. So either the two of you work together, or it's sort of like we're on a different page. So you're moving up, you're moving on, or you're moving out. Single and looking, can you find love? Absolutely. Don't rush it. There could be a past life connection here. There also may be a false start, but it looks like second go around is a little bit better, or if one rejection comes through, there's actually a stronger connection here. This is a little immature. This is so much more mature. But the challenge in the mature version is, like I said, a little bit of stubbornness, very steadfast, and you've met your match. That's what I saw. Ask questions, get to know them, take your time, that little inchworm coming through one more time. Single and happy, good for you. You can focus on healing. You can create new friendships, partnerships, networking, and alliances. You can really lean into your own creative energy here and innovation, and put a lot of that into work or money if you'd like to. Interestingly enough, we have two cards in Destiny matching up with the Prana Mudra. Let's talk. So denial reversed. It's basically saying stop denying things, embrace the awareness, and the little mantra at the bottom says, I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. So that's how to overcome this. It's also how to rid yourself of the energy of the Seven of Swords, which is sometimes just denying that something is going to have ramifications. And then worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. Amen to that. Rather than worrying, whenever I have worry or fear for that much, I kind of look into educating myself, talking to others, and saying, what have I got to lose? If I stand still, nothing's going to change. But if I actually take this leap, then I know that things are going to at least have a better chance of being resolved. Now let's give the cards a shuffle, and we're going to look at 4 cards representing quarters 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 2026. All right, we don't have a lot of space left here, so I'm going to put them on the side here. Q1, we actually have 2 cards. And oh my goodness, we have the chrysalis, very important. So Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Q1 comprises January, February, and March. You have 2 cards that came through, the 8 of Swords and then the 9 of Cups. This is a wish being fulfilled. This is the challenge, and I love that it represented the image that came through. I said that there was a 3-part phase in the kind of evolution into the butterfly. Caterpillar, which is where you're at, chrysalis, which is where you're going to be probably in January, and then after that is the expansion. So here you go. Here's what a chrysalis looks like. I mentioned that there was that little tiny connection. Can you see it right there in the corner? It's tiny but strong. That little string is actually kind of more like a bolt. So It's like the Hanged Man because it's kind of hanging upside down. So you are being asked to be patient, to look around, and to remind yourself, we have to look at the traditional version, just because it isn't present now, Eight of Swords, and in the past, Two of Swords, does not mean that it isn't going to come through. Quite the reverse, because we have Nine of Cups, which is wish fulfillment and celebration. So these are cool illustrations, but sometimes it helps to see the original. You're being asked to sit in that chrysalis for just a moment or two. We can infer that January is the chrysalis and February is the breakthrough. Breakthrough months are a little messy sometimes because you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or one wing in, one wing out. And then we can also infer that March is probably when things come together and the celebration, etc., can ensue. So I actually think this is going to be a really exciting first quarter, but the challenge is I don't see it. Therefore, it's not happening. And it's happened twice because we had Two of Swords and Eight of Swords. They're both cards with blindfolds on. So you're being asked to lean into imagination and into faith, and knowing that through that you'll be able to come to the sort of resolution or the sort of like synchronicity that you've been trying to create. Okay? So the first quarter of the year is pivotal. It is surprising, and it ends on a positive note. So you have to keep the faith in January, allow yourself the wiggle room that's necessary in February to kind of break through, and then in March, just lean in and don't second guess yourself, okay? Let's go into the second quarter. And because the catalyst was the number 2, we're going to pay attention to that second month, which I just discussed, which is that sort of like breakthrough. And now the second quarter, which comprises April, May, and June. And this is when the partnership energy is going to come through the strongest. For the second quarter, we have this kind of gnarly looking Nine of Swords. Here's a more sort of traditional version of the Nine of Swords. This card can represent stress that comes through as a result of success. Oftentimes when you're more successful, there's more spotlight, more scrutiny, more opinions. So this is about growing a thicker skin and saying, I can take this. I'm also going to take some of this with a grain of salt, or just let some of it roll off my back. I don't need to focus on everything. This is about self-care. You may be working harder than you have in a while. And in this period of time, it's important not to go to the burnout phase that would be the Ten of Swords. This is just confronting fear. So again, sometimes when success meets us, we become our own worst enemy in the form of imposter syndrome. Is it really me? Will it continue? When is the next shoe going to drop? None of these things are helping. So if I could sum up Q2 in one word, it would be elevation, or elevate. Move above all of this and ask yourself, what have I got to lose? Why not? And also for yourself, just really reiterate the fact that you've worked hard to get where you're at, and then focus on the self-care. Okay? Now, let's move on to the third quarter of the... by the way, before I go to that, lean on partnerships when necessary. And we saw with the Emperor, the Empress, the 2 Knights, that you have people in your life that you can reach out to or at least learn from. Okay, third quarter, July, August, and September. We have a really interesting and kind of densely illustrated Ten of Wands, and the Ten of Wands is in the reverse position. So for some of you, this is about letting go of some of the stress, some of the sort of perfectionist tendencies that you might put on yourself. Things are coming to a sort of fruitful phase in this period of time. Here's your traditional Ten of Wands. You can see that he's carrying the burden of success. Some of that I already sensed in the second quarter, and it's bubbling over into this quarter. It's a good time to delegate. If you look at a different version, I'm going to keep showing you different versions here. This one, we can actually see her being helped with the ox right there. So that represents teamwork, delegation, and leadership that can help you. This is a time where you'll be bringing things to a close. There could be additional travel. There might be a lot on your plate. And hopefully we learn the lessons of the previous quarter, which is to manage stress, get enough sleep, get enough rest and exercise, etc. Okay? You don't have to do this all on your own. That's the big takeaway here. But this is a very positive card for the third quarter. Things are, any kind of loose ends that you have should be fully tied up by this part of the year. And that leads us to a beautiful end to the year ahead, which is High Priestess energy. She is in the reverse position, and this is saying trust yourself. Make time for meditation. Allow yourself to have more creativity, or maybe you have it, but like to express your creative ideas, because they're only as good as your ability to bring them into the world. Part of that is communication. The other part is follow through. So trust in your abilities, articulate them, and follow through. And you could put one of those goalposts in each of these months if you want. Dream bigger. If we dream small, we kind of like, we're crimping and cramping up how much the universe might be able to provide. So why not dream big and allow the universe to show up and maybe even surprise us? One of the things that I like to articulate in manifestation is all of this or greater. So you have the capacity, you have the ability, believe in yourself, and don't put unnecessary blocks, limits, or borders around what's possible. Now you have a chance to look at one final question for today, one final card. Go ahead and think for a moment about what that might be. I'm going to give the cards a shuffle. There is no room left as I do these quarterly readings, but that's part of the fun. All right, ask your question. We got a yes, a resounding yes. If you asked a yes or no, Ace of Wands is a yes, it's affirmative. There's some additional messages around this, which is this is something that really has the potential to go the distance. This is a time where you want to focus on brainstorming, creativity, make sure that you put all of the ideas on the page. You don't know where some of these might take you in the future, so don't judge them too harshly right now. I was just talking about that with the High Priestess in reverse. This is a very auspicious card for relationships. It can represent passion, particularly physical passion. This is, like I said, it's also, though, the ability to innovate, imagine, and to push yourself in a new direction. Vitality could be returning to some of you too, which is a feeling of invigoration, excitement, and wanting to get up in the morning, all of that. So a really wonderful way to end an already wonderful reading. Good luck. I feel like your sign has a lot in store. Remember not to give up if you're in the chrysalis phase. There's so much that's just on the precipice. So hang out where you are for a moment and see the landscape and trust the process. Before we wrap up today, just a few ways that you can show support. One is by subscribing. That is the easiest and it's free. Then hit the thumbs up and then leave a comment. This basically tells YouTube to show it to more people, like this is a cool video. So those 3 small things can help so much. Thank you in advance. You can leave a sticker with your comment. All of those resources go back into allowing me to buy all of the cards that you see here and to do more videos just like this. So if you'd like to give back with a super sticker, super chat, or a membership, please do so. I appreciate it. You can also give a little bit of contribution through PayPal as well. All of these links are on my website, so you can go to my official website, which is right here on the screen. It's basically just myname.com, nicholasashbaugh.com. On all of the major platforms, Nicholas Ashbaugh is my username. Again, you can go to the main YouTube page here, my website, or you can just write down the spelling that you see here and follow me on all major platforms. And that, my friends, is everything. I hope you have a magical, wonderful, amazing year ahead. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me here on YouTube. You have so many choices out there in the world. I'm so happy that I was able to spend about 45 minutes with you to navigate the year ahead, or I should say the month ahead. Take care. We'll see each other soon. Check out my daily, weekly, and monthly videos, all on my main channel page. Until then.